Hi guys, just a quick one. I'm in the process of editing this current video and I realised that it's actually quite a long one. I do go quite in depth with a fair bit of stuff, so if you prefer that sort of thing, please let me know down in the comments. If you prefer shorter videos as well, please do let me know. Yeah, it's actually ended up a lot longer than I expected to. I actually ended up getting about 4 hours worth of footage that needed cutting down massively. I think it's looking like it's going to be somewhere between 35 and 45 minutes at the moment. Please do bear with it and I hope you enjoy it. Back with the e46. Did a video the other day of the interior deep clean. Today we're going to be polishing the car. So far it's not really got that dirty, so I've already washed it. If people are interested in seeing that, next time I give it a clean when it's a bit dirtier, I'll get some good footage of it. In terms of this time around, it basically was just kind of a snow foam and a quick contact wash. It's already been decontaminated a couple of weeks ago before I had it, so didn't need clay barring. Give it a quick bit of a chemical decontamination as well, just because of the fact that I'm going to be polishing it and to make sure that it was completely safe to do. I'm thinking for the most part it'll be a single stage polish, probably a multi-stage on the bonnet, where you can see it's quite faded and there's a few marks. If I move around you can see the odd bit on there. And then some of the deeper stuff we're not going to be able to get out, for example, like this one here that we showed you in the last video, which is obviously from previous owner parking probably under a tree and not cleaning it when birds crap on the car. If it's left on there for too long, it can etch into the paintwork. That's gone all the way down to the primer. So if I do decide that I want that sorted in the future, it's going to need a respray. In terms of the wheels, we're also going to be ceramic coating those because these are polished lips. So especially over winter, they'll be an absolute nightmare to keep in good condition. Interior, to be honest, still pretty clean. I'm very particular with this sort of thing. You can see sort of a couple of footprints and stuff like that around. Nobody else has been in the car since though, so I've just had my driver's side floor mat on the passenger seat so it doesn't get dirty in the meantime. Apart from that, the leather's all been balmed and everything else, so that's still nice and clean. Still looks like it did in the previous video when I was finished with it. The rear, what we're going to do, ignore the toolbox, we're going to remove the lights. I've done this one already because, as you can see, gets all really filthy in behind them and stuff like that, so we'll give that a nice clean out. And then from where it's been polished before, all polish gets stuck in there and then that goes dry. Very hard to remove, so we want to avoid that happening again. We will probably mask off things like all of the rubbers around the windows, potentially the mirrors as well. Luckily with these, they've got this chrome strip and no rubber on the interior because of the fact that there's no pillar on the door. So when it comes to that, it saves me some time with the prep work. In terms of the sides of the car and stuff, pretty good condition. You can't really tell in the video, but there are some swirl marks on there. Nothing major, but it does need to be gone over. Hopefully it should enhance the gloss of the car quite a bit as well. So going forwards, it should be looking a lot nicer. And then the ceramic will keep it well protected over winter. And with the one that I'm using, should last a good 4 or 5 years on there. Especially with regular maintenance and stuff like that. It'll also make the car much easier to clean. Those of you that have had ceramic coated cars in the past, you'll know it's not a gimmick. It really is a major help with cleaning cars, keeping them in good condition, and also if you park outside like this one will be. Unfortunately, the Sirocco's got my only available parking space indoors. It can also protect from UV damage. So yeah, we'll similarly to the last one, we'll time lapse through a lot of stuff and answer some more questions at the end. Okay then guys, I thought I'd stop the time lapse after this first section just to sort of show you why we're doing a multi-stage on the bonnet. You'll probably notice from the time lapse that I'm using a Menzona 400 compound. It's quite a heavy cut. You wouldn't normally use this for a single stage. Sometimes you would, maybe depending on the car, but it's very, very rare. I only ever really use it if I'm then going to follow up with a lighter compound on a softer pad, which is what I'm going to do after this, and then use that following around for the rest of the car. You can see over here, compared with where I've done, how much sharper the light is in these lines than it is over here. And that's basically because over time, paint fades in the sunlight, essentially, and loses some of its gloss. So what you see in there is essentially fresh paint, where I've taken off the top layer of clear coat, compared with potentially 17-year-old paint, which may have been on there from the factory still, and has probably never really had a polish, I'm going to assume, due to the fact that it's not been obviously maintained by a detailer. That's why we did a multi-stage on here. The paint's not that faded on the rest of the car, just on the bonnet and the roof, because obviously they get the sunlight pretty much all day as opposed to certain times. So other than that, we'll just be going around the rest of the car with a single stage polish. I'll probably use a Menzerna 2200. I'm a big fan of Menzerna compounds, I just find that they work the best. And then that should also bring it up with a slightly higher gloss than the 400 would as well. But with this bonnet, what we'll do, we'll finish it off with the 400, do the roof with the 400, and then continue to do the entire car with the 2200 on a softer pad. So as you can see, we've now sort of evened it all up in that all of it looks shiny. Bit of a good news and a bad news situation with it. I have kind of uncovered a few more sort of the deeper marks. I didn't realise they were there before. There's one up here too. Couple of little bits and pieces in the middle. Anything when you polish the car, you can't then focus on anything because of the reflection, right? There's a mark here. There you go. Which is way down past the paint, not just the lacquer. And then the few that I pointed out before and in the previous videos, I can kind of see already the difference in the polished paint and the unpolished paint, in that the colour is almost different completely, which is a great sign, because it means the car's going to come up looking really glossy when it's finished, which I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm going to basically repeat the exact same process now on the roof and the top of the boot, so I won't bother putting those in the video. I will literally be doing the exact same method, just small squares, back and forth for a few passes with the same compound and the same pad. Then when I move on to the sides, I will start filming again just to show you basically a bit of a difference with the lighter pads and polishes. We'll probably only do a few passes, less pressure, but similar pattern. Other than that, everything's pretty straightforward, the same as it is with the heavier cuts. So just a quick one, I found this spot on the rear bumper here where it's obviously had a respray in the past. You can see where it's been masked off, and then this side is covered in overspray. This side is kind of like fresh paint still. Basically what we'll do, we will probably hit that with a very, very light wet sand, maybe on like a 3000 grit, and then go about the 400 compound, followed up with a polish. It's quite common of cars this age. You can see, actually, I've just noticed because I'm lying on the ground now, that you can also see it on the bottom part of the bumper too, over here compared with over there. Obviously I can't translate this in a video, but it just feels a lot rougher as well. Sometimes when you're cleaning a car and you're getting it ready to polish, the best way to go about it, if you can't see everything, is sometimes to just have a bit of a feel around on the panels sometimes. Especially if you're going to be polishing, because you don't need to worry about putting little marks in the paint, because that's the whole point of doing the polish. I can also tell more from down here than I could from up there how faded the rear lights are. Obviously, like I said earlier in the video, we've taken out the big section. These parts here, you can see, are really clouded over, so we'll also be giving them a bit of a refresh as well. Right then, so day one's finished, starting day two now. Yesterday we cleaned and did the sort of heavy cut on a couple of panels to get rid of some deeper marks. We did the bonnet, the mirrors, the roof, and the top of the boot. There was also the marks on the back that I showed you earlier on in the video. The only marks we couldn't get out in terms of scratches were this one here, which is obviously a previous owner has had a roof rack going off where it is. It comes straight on from that line. That's gone down past the clear coats. There's not really anything we can do about it other than just round the edges off to sort of take the eye off it. The boot, as you can see, has come up very nice and clean, really glossy, really reflective. I'll show you with the inspection light. I'll just flick these lights off. It might take a second to adjust, but you can see in terms of what we've been doing so far is getting rid of the swirl marks that are on the bonnet, and then also the reason we did the heavier cut was because obviously there were some deeper marks up here as well. Now there's next to nothing. There's a bit of a haze around that light because obviously we've done a heavy cut, so that will leave some minor marks in there, which is what we then do the finer polish for. Just to show you an area that we haven't done yet, down at the bottom here, you can see that there's quite a bit of swirling and stuff around it. It's very common for the bottom of the cars to be like this, because what happens when you clean a car, basically, if it's not pre-washed properly, like snow foam, a good citrus pre-cleaner, jet wash, etc., then all you're really doing when you clean a car is dragging dirt, dust, contamination through the paint. And that's what gives you that sort of light, like spider webbing almost, marking on the car. The reason that we do the heavier cut on the top is because that's where you tend to get deeper marks. Things like cats or birds would land on the car or walk around on it. People balance things on there when, say, like people putting like drinks or snacks on the roof when they're getting into the car. Obviously using your hands a lot on the bonnet and the boot to close them. So they won't come out with a lighter polish because they're deeper into the paint. So that's why we do the heavier cut. And then basically the lighter cut is to get rid of all of the swirl marks. And the reason it's a single stage polish is because it leaves less hazing. So it doesn't need like a finishing off afterwards. So we'll go ahead and start with the second stage now. And then what we'll do is ceramic coat the car. We'll show you that. What we're going to do is we're going to use a System X ceramic coating, but I'll explain a little bit more about that later on. Okay then guys, just to show you what we're actually doing when we polish, because obviously in the time lapses I know it probably just looks like a jumbled mess. Basically what we do when we start off with the area is we have a bit of polish dotted around on the pad. You place it down a few areas for the size of the space you're going to cover. Generally want to be sort of 2 or 3 feet by 2 or 3 feet as a panel. And then when you're moving, depending on what it is you're doing in terms of a heavy cut, a very light polish, applying a wax or like a glaze, varies on how fast you're moving at the time. With sort of a medium polish like we're doing here, because this is the second stage that we're doing all over the car, you want sort of a medium to slow speed, a fairly soft pad compared with the one that I used for the harder cut. And then this compound is, again, a little bit of a lighter compound than the 400 that I used on the bonnet, the roof, and then this panel here. And the reason I'm doing this on these panels again is because, like I said earlier in the video, they can leave a light hazing, and this will just get rid of that basically and give it like a factory finish, as you would call it. When I'm doing it, what I'll do is I prime the area, so lowest setting on the pad, and then sort of jumble it around just to coat the area in the polish. I'll show you. So for a panel this size, you want to do it in two. It's obviously the whole width of the car, and probably about 1.5 to 2 feet deep. So that should be plenty. What we're going to do with this stage is we're going to do 3 passes. So what we'll do is we'll go up and down in an overlapping method, sort of coming up at this angle, back down at this angle. So you've got about half of the pad overlapping. Then we'll go left to right, or right to left, depending on where we end up. And then back up and down again. And then we'll buff it off, see how it looks. And if it's got rid of all the hazing, which it, to be honest with you, will have, because there's not much on this. Menzerda compound doesn't leave loads behind. Then we'll move on to do this side and then continue with the rest of the video around the car. But I'll just show you this panel in normal speed, just so you can see sort of how long it takes. I think the time lapse is auto fill to like 30 or 40 seconds. So even the whole side of the car will probably go by like that in this video, where realistically you're looking at about 5 to 10 minutes per panel usually. But yeah, we'll go through this half and show you what sort of speed would normally move at. So there we go. So that, you generally would move a bit slower. If you're doing a heavy cut, you tend to want to aim for about 1 inch per second on a heavy cut. So something that's sort of this long may take you 25-30 seconds to do this stretch. And then obviously 4 or 5 up and down, 10 or 12 up and down this way. So you can sort of get into the realms of spending 30-40 minutes on a panel for bigger parts, like say a bonnet, for example. Okay then guys, so with this one, basically we're just going to polish up the lights. We'll back over to our firmer compound, firmer pads, and we're going to use men's 400 compound. Basically what we'll do with these is it'll be quite a light pressure, because what I'm going to have to do is hold on to them one-handed. So get it up to speed and then basically massage around like this on the light. Doesn't need to be too heavy of a cut, as it should fade away quite quickly, all the little marks. And all we're really trying to do is brighten them up a little bit. It'll just be sort of a finishing touch for the car. There's a very good chance that at some point we will be tinting these lights. I'm definitely going to be doing the front ones because I've got some gold accents on the wheels. I'm also thinking of doing like a gold pinstripe down the side. It follows the body line quite well, so I think it'll work. Worst case scenario, we'll take it back off again. And then with that, we'll probably do the front lights with like a yellowish tint, really faint, but nonetheless it'll tie it in nicely with the rest of the car. And then we'll sort of follow that theme in the future as we go around doing things to it. I don't like a lot of gold on cars. I've done that before on the Sirocco when I first got it and I was first into modifying. I think it can look really tacky if you go down the sort of gold route. However, with this being an older car, a bit more sort of executive, I think it could actually work quite well if I do little tasteful pieces like a pinstripe, tinting the lights and accents on the wheels. There's also obviously some chrome on the car, so it may tie that in with the rest of the colouring. Also, the chrome, being the age it is, particularly around the windows, is a little bit faded and dappled due to being cleaned with things like traffic film remover, just sort of cheap drive-through car washes, standard sort of acids and things that they would use in those. So if I can't get that back up, which it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to for a previous polish, I think I may go down the route of either black or gold with those. And I don't really want to black this car out. I've done that with the Sirocco. I think it looks really, really good on modern sporty cars. But on something that's a bit more sort of retro looking, I feel like, particularly with this sort of silvery blue that I've got, I feel like the gold and yellow colour combo could work really well. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it'll all be done with vinyl, so worst case scenario, I'll take it off. So if you never see a future video of me with gold window surrounds and badges and stuff, then you'll know that it looked as crap as it does now that I say it, as it sounds like it would now that I say it out loud. But yeah, we're going to get on with these lights and we'll show you what they look like when they're back in the car. Okay, so now that I've done these, I'm kind of really regretting not getting some good before footage, because these, I'm not sure if you can tell in the light, they've come up, they literally look brand new. Like, I'm not sure if these have been replaced at some point over time or what, but I didn't think a quick, single-handed, pretty much no pressure polish would bring them up looking like this. I mean, they look like I've just got them from BMW, to be fair. There's a couple of tiny, tiny marks here and things like that where you potentially would be able to tell that they weren't brand new, but I mean, at a glance, or even now that I'm looking for them, to be honest with you, they've come out incredible. I'm really happy with it. I'm not sure if the video sort of translates that, but basically, little things like this are sort of what separates spending the extra time compared with rushing through, and this really will, especially from the back of the car, it'll just make it stand out from the rest, and it'll look so much cleaner than you would expect a car of this age to look. One of the biggest things for me with the detailing side of things, and probably the reason that I got into it, is because I just find that the little things are what make the differences. It's things like the lights, the wheels, the windows being really, really clean on cars, particularly older stuff, just anything that basically gives off a shine when it's clean. I really think that makes all the difference when it comes to detailing. But yeah, these lights, super happy with them. We're going to go and do the little bits on the boot as well, because I went over those while I was doing the boot lid. But to be honest with you, now that I've seen these, I know I'm going to be able to get them up a little bit better, because it was kind of a brush over because I was using the single stage compound. So I'm going to go back over with this 400 and that heavier pad, and really get them shined up to match these. Especially now that these are done like this, it will really show a sort of 50-50 with them being separate lights right next to each other. The headlights, to be honest with you, I'm looking at them, they're in good enough condition anyway, but I will go over them briefly before I put the coating on. And then obviously, again, things like these little marks and stuff like that, the coating that I'm planning to use, I know I keep talking about it, I will go in depth with it soon. The coating that I'm going to use does have some slight filler properties as well, so if you've got marks that you don't get out with polishing, things like that, it will also help to mask those. And then the shine on the car will really sort of take the eye off any dullness or marks that may be left over as you finished it. Although I'm looking at the car sat here in the bay, and even under this lighting, which will bring up any problems, issues, to be honest with you, unless the car is immaculate, will really make it look the worst it could possibly look compared with, say, daylight, for example. It looks very, very good. I'm very happy with how it is. I got it from I haven't mentioned it before, I got it from a place called Daniel James Cars down near Brighton. I want to say New Haven was the name of the village that it was in. But it was about 3.5 hours away from here, but the guy was so helpful. He had such a good range of cars. I couldn't recommend him enough. If you're in the area, definitely go down and check out what they've got. Or if you're looking for sort of a 70s, sort of like an 80s, 90s, early 2000s BMW, from everywhere that I've seen, he is the place to go. I won't give too much away because I know he's not got everything listed at the moment, but he's got some really nice stock coming through. He's got an older 6 Series, which he's working on at the minute, getting it all ready for sale. Some very rare colour e46s and e46s, some very, very sought after spec cars as well, and also a couple of modern bits. I know he had like a Range Rover SVR down there, which was lovely. If that had been in the budget, I'd have driven away with that rather than this. They're fantastic cars, but like I say, if you're in the market for an old school BMW or something similar, or if you're in the area and looking for a new car, definitely check them out. Like I say, Daniel James Cars. You just find them on Google nice and easily. Very friendly, obviously looks after the cars super well, gets them really, really good before he puts them up for sale, which is why I've managed to get away with a single stage polish on a 17-year-old car. It's just been well looked after while it's been with him. But yeah, right, I'll get on with this, the rest of these lights, and then we'll come back to you and discuss the ceramic coating. Hello again, guys. Basically, we're done with the prep for the car now, so we're going to put the ceramic coating on. As you've seen in the previous time lapse, what we do is we go over the full car with the isopropyl alcohol mix. Basically, just gets off any polish residue, dust, dirt, anything else we might have missed while doing the car. Basically, going forwards, we're going to use System X's Max coating. It's a new one that they've sent us to try. With this, they actually claim a 10-year coating, which is very, very good. But as well as that, they also offer a lifetime warranty with it if it's applied by an accredited detailer like myself, and if it's looked after properly. In terms of looked after properly, what we basically mean is by a professional. In terms of being done through 5, 10, 15 pound car washes, you can expect that life expectancy to go down, purely because of the fact that the abrasive cleaners that they use will affect it. It's not stuff that's friendly for paint coatings, so going forwards with something like a 5, 10-year coat, you want to bring it to somebody like myself or your local detailer to get them looked after. They do offer sort of user-friendly at-home coatings as well. Renew, which is a spray coating. I'll leave a link below for where you can buy that. With that stuff, it's very, very good. They claim 9 months. Realistically, it'll last over a year if again, you maintain your car either yourself or with a professional. It's also incredibly easy to apply. Literally a couple of spritzes on a panel, a couple of spritzes onto a cloth, wipe it on, give it a couple of minutes and buff it off. It's actually easier to apply than wax is, and it's much more effective than wax. With the coating that we're going to be using, we will apply it with a small applicator block. It's basically a little foam pad with a cloth on it. You put a little bit on there. We use a syringe, some people use pipettes, some people have like special bottle tops and things. A few drops on there, cross hatch pattern, similar to when we were polishing, sort of up and down, left and right, make sure you get full coverage. And then use a couple of cloths, make sure you keep them separate. Use one cloth in a left to right, up and down motion to buff off the thick of it, and then the next one, use the softer side of the cloth in a circular buffing motion to remove any remaining residue. We always wear gloves when we're putting ceramic coating on, because you don't want to be leaving any like greasy marks, fingerprints, anything else like that on the paint, because once something is under a ceramic coat, you're not going to get it off without removing the ceramic coat. So with them, just make sure your hands are clean, your clothes aren't particularly like linty clothes, there's no dust on the car, and then going forwards, we'll explain properly how to maintain it after we've shown you how to apply it, but basically, first few hours don't get it wet, first few days don't wash it, generally around a week or two until you wash the car, and then there are fairly specific but not absolute foolproof guidelines for looking after a ceramic coated car. What we'll do is top down, as with everything else. So similarly to the polish, it'll be roof, bonnet, boot lid, and then we'll pick an area and go clockwise around the car, just so we don't miss anything. This one's safe to use on the lights and stuff as well. So we'll go over the lights and the number plate with it. And then we do actually have a System X glass coating as well. But like I said about the trims around the windows, not happy with how they look at the moment, and we're waiting for the G-Technic trim restorer to come. So I'll do that before I ceramic coat the glass, because then it doesn't matter if I also ceramic coat the black rubbers around the edges. But yeah, we'll do that, and then it's just going to be a case of finishing touches. Things like we will hand polish the exhausts with metal polish and a 4.0 wire wool. And then we'll probably give the engine bay a quick dress. It's already been cleaned. It wasn't dirty when I picked the car up last week, so it didn't really need much. It's just had sort of a quick spritz and a wipe down. We'll put like a topper on that. It's basically just like similar to like tyre shine or trim restorer. Pop that on, and that'll be all good. Obviously the interior we showed you in a video from earlier in the week. That's still pretty much in the same condition, so we won't be going over the interior with you. What we'll probably do is, in a couple of weeks' time, once the coating is cured, been driving around in the sort of November, December weather a little bit, then we'll do a full, in-depth, top to bottom, in and out wash process video, basically, for what will be included with our full valet. If you've got any questions, feel free to pop them down below. But yeah, we'll get this coating on, and I will get back to you for a chat about maintenance afterwards. Okay then guys, so what we'll do with the ceramic is we'll basically, for panels this size, you can see we've already wetted the pad. We'll do half a panel at a time. So we'll draw a line down the middle, and then literally just up and down in a cross hatch pattern, making sure you cover as much of it as you can. So up and down like this, and then left to right. Always make sure you go slightly over the edge with the pad so you don't miss any areas on the end. So what we'll do is say when we get to the end here, have it so it's half off, and then you know you got it completely covered. So then that's that side completely coated. Pop that down. Take your first pad, 10 or 15 second wait time for this one, or until you can see it start to evaporate, which it's kind of doing now. So then we'll go from there, like I was saying again, up and down. This one actually comes off much easier than the other ones do, so that's good. And then that one's done. Get your softer pad, and then just make sure you've not missed anywhere. And then simple as that, 10 to 15 second cure time, on and off in a crosshatch pattern. Make sure you buff everything away, make sure you don't miss any spots around the edges, and there you go. Now, it's obviously not the most exciting thing to watch, so we'll probably time lapse a little bit more of it and then just do the rest off camera. Okay then guys, the BM's all coated now, so everything's completely finished with it. The before and afters, to be honest with you, they will come through well on the video, but not quite how they do in real life. It's honestly a completely different car now. You can see in terms of the shine on it, how good of a gloss the polish and PPF combo leaves on them, to be fair. What I'll do, I'll flick the lights off and show you with the inspection light sort of how it is now. But I mean, the bonnet, if it wants to correct, yep, there you go. So the bonnet is pretty much completely spotless, which is one of the panels that's obviously always going to be worse. The mirrors, again, spotless. The roof, near enough spotless. There's a couple of marks on there, like this one that we mentioned down here before, that just aren't going to be going anywhere. And then that panel that we showed you at the start that was quite bad, you can see there's still the odd swirl on there, but nowhere near how it was before. Just huge changes all around the car, to be fair. The back, which I think was actually one of the worst panels. I should have got some before clips of the back. There's a couple of marks here and there. Where are we? A little bit of a scratch there. I doubt you can see it on the video. It's very, very mild. But yeah, all in all, very happy with how the car looks. Really turned out better than I expected it to. I'm looking forward now to just sort of getting it out and about, running around, being able to just use it as a daily driver. It's going to be an interesting sort of couple of years of ownership, I would have thought. It's not going to quite go as far as the Sirocco did in terms of modifications, but I do have some plans for it that I'll probably keep quiet until it comes around to them. But yeah, just thanks for watching. I'll have a bit of a chat about the maintenance plan for the ceramic coating in the next clip. Okay, so that's it completely finished. As I've said in previous clips, I'm really happy with how it's come out. The polish has got it more or less looking brand new again. To be honest with you, it probably looks better than it actually did when it was first picked up, other than those couple of marks on the bonnet. The problem with how good it looks is those couple of marks on the bonnet are now going to bother me quite a lot, so I'll probably end up spending more than I was intending on it, because I feel like I'll end up getting the bonnet resprayed definitely now. And there's also one or two little dents around the car. I'm going to see if friends and family can see them without me pointing them out, and if they can, then I'll probably end up getting those removed as well. In terms of the ceramics, like I said, I used the new System X Max. I'm very impressed with how it went on. The car feels super smooth now, and I can use this Renew to keep it topped up if at any point it feels like it's dropping off, which, the way that I maintain the cars, it shouldn't. I'm looking forward to getting the glass ceramic on, which I've already got on the on my other car, and I've put on a few customer cars now. In terms of the benefits with that, obviously cleaning as with everything else, especially in summer with the flies and stuff, but also when you drive in A roads, motorways, things like that, you literally don't need to use your windscreen wipers, it's that hydrophobic. In terms of a gloss on the car, ceramic coatings tend to cure properly over a couple of week period, so it will actually obviously not show up on video or camera, and you won't notice it in person either, just because of the way it is and seeing it regularly, but they actually do darken and get thicker over time, so it'll leave a nice deep shine on the car. Going forwards, I'll probably wash the car every 2 to 4 weeks. What I'll do is I'll try and leave it as long as I can this time around so it gets nice and dirty, and then give you a full in-depth walkthrough of what I would do with a car that comes in for a full valet or maybe even a detail. Obviously, as I said before, I won't be clay barring the car for a good number of years now, providing that the ceramic lasts as well as I would expect it to. With the car, it'll be daily driven to and from work. I'll take it like to the gym, socialising, things like that, and it'll be used. It'll be stored outside at home, just on the driveway. So it'll be a pretty real world scenario. Whereas the Sirocco gets washed 7 or 8 times a year, it's stored inside, barely gets driven. So as much as I'm happy with the ceramic on that, even if it was a cheaper one, it'd probably last twice as long as it was supposed to. From a point of view with the channel, I had no intention of starting a YouTube channel, to be honest with you. As you can probably tell from my first video, it was done in portrait rather than in landscape, so it's all right for phones, but not great for just general YouTube. But it was too big to upload to the Facebook page, so I thought, why not? I'll give it a go. So I've actually quite enjoyed making them. So going forwards, if you'd like to see more sort of content like this, or me doing other customers' cars, different things, I could do walkarounds of the unit. In show season, I could do reviews of cars at shows, or just let me know what sort of stuff you'd like to see, really. But yeah, I'd appreciate if you guys could subscribe, like the video, and comment below either good or bad points that you've enjoyed so far, and hopefully I'll be able to turn the channel into something that people can really enjoy, and if I can help out with people who maintain their own cars along the way, or inspire some people who are thinking about doing this as a job, then fantastic. Other than that, thanks for watching, and hopefully see you again soon. I'm hoping to do at least a video every sort of 7 to 10 days.